I'm Lisa, and you're with Velo Dulce, the show where we talk women, cycling, and life. Velo Dulce is from the Italian phrase La vita dolce, which means the good life. These are stories from women around the world on finding the good life through life on a bicycle. Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's show. I wanted to talk today about leveling up. It's been a theme on my mind since probably about May. Probably been a theme in my life since forever, since I was born. And I wanted to talk about what it means to level up. I read a few blogs on the subject before the show, and I found that leveling up basically means going to a higher level. I have been interviewing women on the show since the beginning, and who I thought had some kind of special talent. When I first started the show, I honestly wanted to interview the best woman in cycling to find out if they had some kind of secret to share. And I have to say that obviously, although all the women I've interviewed have had athletic talent, they wouldn't have been able to make it otherwise. They have also had a few other characteristics, one of which is the ability to level up. And to be honest, I don't think it's spoken about enough in, let's say, women's culture. I think Brené Brown has done a lot for vulnerability and self-compassion. And that doesn't mean, of course, like giving yourself permission to do nothing. But I do think there's a lot to be said for leveling up. And I find myself thinking about it with respect to a lot of areas in my life at the moment. And I guess I always have, because I'm that way inclined. And I was thinking about, what am I actually going to talk about on this show with regards to leveling up? And I was thinking about, what do I think, and on the basis of having interviewed the woman that I have, what are the 3 characteristics that I would say define leveling up, taking yourself to a next level? And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I wanted to talk about the problem with leveling up. And here is the problem defined in a popular saying: if you want what you've never had, you have to do what you've never done, along those lines. Or if you keep doing what you do, you keep getting what you get, kind of thing. And that's the problem with leveling up. When you want to level up, you have to go somewhere you've never been before. Things you haven't done before, things you haven't tried. And when I first came to Spain, one of the sayings that really got to me is the saying, "Lo es lo que hay." It is the way it is. And I'm like, you know what? That's absolute bullshit. Things are not just the way they are. I think often we say, oh, it's just the way it is. No, it isn't the way it is. We've actually behaved in a manner that's led to a certain conclusion that has led to the particular outcome. Obviously, we are not in control of the universe, and we are not in control of other people. We are not in control of a lot. But I often think we use the phrase, "es lo que hay," it is what it is, when actually it isn't. And if I reflect in some areas of my life, I can say that I haven't leveled up in those areas the way I necessarily want to. And that's fine. It's a learning. I'm not hard on myself about that, but there is a learning there. And I've spoken to, on this show, wow, the most incredible women with high profile positions, achieving at the highest level in sport. And this is the one characteristic that they have, is this ability to level up and to be really honest with themselves about things. And I think there's two things that happen with women, is that we talk ourselves out of things before we've even started, or negate our ability to do it, or we just don't put ourselves in that position. And I guess those are the same things, actually. So what are the three aspects of leveling up? Well, according to my world, which is the world of one, take what I say with a pinch of salt and decide for yourself. But the three aspects I think of leveling up are showing up, knowing up, and knowing up. What does that mean? If you want to level up, you have to show up. And not just once, you have to show up again and again. And if I think about my journey with whatever, cycling or work or Spanish is a great example. It's about showing up every single day. What are you showing up for? You know what? You can't just show up for one interview and get a rejection and decide, oh, that career path is not for me. No, you show up for 200 interviews and then you still keep learning. I think too often we are too easy. We too easily give in. And I am not about the hustle culture. I'm not about you have to sacrifice and you have to sacrifice yourself and you have to. No, I'm not about that. I'm about decisions. And I think that too many of us decide, oh, it's not my destiny, or oh, it wasn't meant to be, when actually, no, we showed up once, or we showed up twice, or we showed up 3 times and it didn't work. And then we were like, oh, it wasn't meant to be. No, bullshit. It's not like that. Sometimes life requires you to keep showing up for years. To writing, or my gosh, writing, how many bad books? I'm sorry if you've read all of them. How many bad books have I written over a 20-year period to get to one that I'm actually proud of? Like, that consistent showing up is what it takes. And if I look at the women on the show, that is what they have done consistently, no matter what, through injury, through adversity, through challenge. Doesn't mean they don't have self-compassion, doesn't mean they don't love themselves, but they hold themselves to the highest standards and they hold themselves accountable to what they want. And it's something I really admire and wanted to highlight on the show. The other two aspects are knowing up and knowing up. Sounds the same, but it's different. Let's talk about knowing up. KNOW, to know. Knowing up first. And that means learning. I don't just mean studying. To be honest, I am not a fan of studying. I study when I absolutely have to. I take a course when I need to. But learning as a mindset, it's if you go and do something, what did that experience teach me? What do I have to see in this experience? Or if I want a particular job or a particular skill, what do I have to learn in order to be able to do that? And you can learn every single day without ever having gone to university or without ever having done a formal qualification. Qualifications and learning have nothing to do with each other. I know some, not that I know, but there are some like spectacularly accoladed academics in the world. But are they able to apply that knowledge, or have they necessarily made impact in a particular field? I don't know, but I wouldn't say that's the marker of a learning mindset. A learning mindset, or knowing up, means that you will learn as you go. You're constantly learning every day. And it's not just formal technical learning in terms of, okay, I need to go on this course, but it's learning to reflect internally too. What did I learn? What do I have to see from this situation? Is this reflecting something towards me? Why am I triggered by this situation? And I think those at the highest field, especially those who I have interviewed, I find a theme where they've never once blamed anyone else. They have always reflected back and gone, okay, what have I had to learn in this situation? What was about me? What wasn't about me? And what do I need to change from there? And that's what I mean about knowing up. Put yourself in the know is a massive leveler. You will find yourself moving leaps and bounds in terms of knowing thyself and learning about the world. And yeah, that is irrespective of your level of education. And that's something I wanted to highlight and I've been thinking about today. And the third aspect of leveling up, which I have been thinking about, is knowing up, N-O. Yeah, it's the ability to say no. It is, for me, has been one of the hardest life lessons I have ever had to learn. I think it's one of the greatest life skills you can learn, is knowing what to say yes to, but knowing what to say no to. Because you can't say yes without saying no to something else. Everything has an opportunity cost. You can't sit on the couch watching Netflix and go out to meet friends. You have to choose one. That's the beauty and the challenge of life. And in a few months' time, September to be exact, I will have been running the show for 2 years. And I have decided at the end of September that I will not be renewing my contract, because there's no one else but me here, but I will not be continuing with the show. And there's some reasons behind that, but it's about where I want to focus my energy. And I think a lot about leveling up is where you put your energy. What kind of people do you put your energy into? What kind of friends? What kind of activities? Do they give you energy back, or do they drain you? What kind of work do you put your energy into, and why, more importantly? And the why comes to the learning part, but the actual investment of energy is about learning to say yes or no. To those of you who have listened to the show for the past 2 years, I'm incredibly grateful. And there's a reason I will be ending it in September, because it's 2 years, but also it will be a significant end. And because of the launch of my book, I have really been thinking about where I'm going to invest my energy. Like, how do I level up from here? And I've achieved some really amazing things in the past 2 years that I'm very proud of. But I still want to level up. And that means going to a place that I've never been before. And that means saying no to certain activities or whatever, certain people, certain situations, and that to me has been a massive lesson in how to level up. Here's a secret that nobody ever tells you about leveling up. You will fall often. Please check out every single one of the athletes I have interviewed on this show. They have gone through accidents, crashes, health issues, personal challenges. You will fall. And the more you level up, the more likely you are to fall. And nobody told me this. Like, maybe people told me this. I never listened. I don't know. But I feel like no one ever told me this. And I have fallen a lot in my life. I have failed a lot. And it wasn't until I can't remember, to be honest, which one of my friends told me this. And they said, yeah, but Lisa, you also try a lot. You also put yourself out there a lot. And I reflected on it, and I guess it's true. My teachers told my parents I will never pass university. Thank goodness my parents chose not to tell me that information. And I went to university, and you know what? I failed. And then I went back and I studied something I really loved, and then I passed. And it's been like that throughout my life. I've written books. I was looking today at the book on my bookshelf, Cut the Crap. I'm really proud of the concept behind that book, but it was written badly. Like, it was a fail. I'm like, what were you thinking? But that's what it means to level up. It means to try things. It means to put yourself out there, because if you keep doing things that you are comfortable in doing and that you are sure about yourself and that you know how to do, that's great. Is that the path to greatness? I don't know. And to be honest, I don't think so, just because I've seen it throughout the women I've interviewed on the show. Eva, who works in MotoGP, Chanel Zaki, director of Ferrari, Sarah Hill, like Vera Lusa, all these women, all of them, not barring one, have failed and have fallen, but have gotten up every single time. And that's the key to leveling up. Like, often people, myself, for so many years, I would fail and then I go, oh, it's not meant to be. It's not in my path. It's the universe giving me a sign. Like, no, bullshit. It's just that you haven't leveled up yet and you're not quite there. And it's like a kid who starts to walk and then they keep falling down. You don't see a 2-year-old sitting on the floor going, I'm never going to walk. I'm never going to walk. No, you see that 2-year-old fall, cry, get up. Fall, cry, get up. Fall, cry, take 2 steps. Fall, cry, get up, take 3 steps. Fall, cry, get up. And so they go. And that's how you walk. But as adults, I don't know where we got this bullshit from. It's like, fall down. Oh, it's a sign. It's not in my path. It wasn't me. No, bullshit. It's just that you haven't found the way yet. Get up, level up. And it's something I have had in my mind so much lately. Goodness, with my Spanish teacher, I'm currently studying the subjective. It is the most hectic thing I've ever studied. Like, I won't even begin by explaining the concept, but I feel like I just keep failing and I just keep failing. And my teacher was like, yeah, Lisa, remember when you came to Spain and you didn't speak a word? And I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, let's keep going. And it has to be like that. It has to be like that. A few weeks ago, I took a motorbike course. It was a day of like skills training. And the teacher was super strict. Super strict. He reminded me of my German granny. And he was like, if I tell you to do something, you do it. And I kept forgetting because I had so many things in my mind to try and remember. And he'd be like, Lisa needs. And I was like, okay. And by the end of the day, I had got into the rhythm. But it took like 12 hours. It was a 11-hour course. By the end, I was shattered, like beyond shattered. But he just had to keep reminding me and keep telling me and keep shouting at me. And I was embarrassed because I was with like 5 guys. And, but you know what? By the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I can do this. Like, I can do this. And I think too often we listen to the voices in our head instead of going, oh yeah, that's just the voice in my head. The voice in our head goes, oh, it's not in your life path to do this, or you just weren't born with that skill, or you don't have those talents, or who are you to think that you could have such talents? And all of it is bullshit. And it's kind of cute. That voice in your head just is trying to save you from embarrassment, because obviously every human's, it's wired in our DNA that we don't want to be thrown out of the tribe. Because in times of old, if you were thrown out the tribe, you didn't eat and you died, basically. So of course, the voice inside of you is trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. And that's amazing. And it's beautiful. And at times it's cute. Sometimes it's annoying. But that's how you have to view it. Especially if you are looking to take your life to the next level, on any level, relationship, sport, work, whatever it is, you've got to frame that. The minute you hear that voice, you've got to go, oh, okay, cool. That's just the little voice in my head. Oh, I love her. She's so cute. Let's carry on. This is my life path. Why? Because I'm choosing it. That's how I know. Like, I think often you're like, oh, it just wasn't meant for me. Who said it wasn't meant for you? If you decided it's for you, it's for you. And are you in control of the outcome? No. No. Doesn't mean you're going to succeed? No. But does that mean you go, okay, then I'm not going to show up? No, also. You keep showing up and you get to learn to love the process of showing up. In terms of the results that come, that's another matter entirely. As to when you land your dream job, or you run your dream race, or you, whatever it is you're yearning for, well, when that time comes, that is a kind of universal magic. You know, I had a friend, she trained for Comrades, which is a ridiculously, in case you are not aware of it, a ridiculously long race to run, 90 kilometers in South Africa. And she trained for it twice. And once she couldn't do it because she had knee issues. She had to have an operation, which took 2 years to recover from. And then the next was COVID. And if you think how much training goes into running a 90-kilometer race, you think by COVID, she goes, oh, okay, cool, it's not for me. But no, last year she was like, you know what, I'm going to do this race. And then I actually saw her in South Africa in January. And she was like, you know what? I'm 5 weeks behind everybody else's training plan. Like, I should have been whatever at X level already, but I'm not. She goes, but you know what? I'm going to commit myself to a training plan now. And she did. And last weekend she ran 90 kilometers and she got a bronze medal. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what your genetics are. There's no thing as it's not meant for you. It's, are you going to show up consistently, however long it takes, because sometimes it can take years. I remember writing a novel in 2012. Yeah, started it in 2012. Threw that one away. Started another novel in 2018. Also threw that one away. Finally, recently published my novel. Like, that is a very long time to keep showing up. And I'm proud of it. It was work that I was finally proud of. And I think that's the key, is can you go out and can you say, I actually did my best? As to what happens with that, well, you are not in control of that. Will you win the prize position on the day? Will you win the gold medal? Will you win whatever? Will you land the job? That depends on a whole variety of factors. But unless you show up, know up, and say no to the things that don't serve that specific objective, you will never know. That's what leveling up is. You will never know. So yeah, I had a very strong sense to do the show, and a very this particular episode, and a very passionate calling to do this episode. And if you're listening, I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you've taken what you needed from it and reflect on it. Drop me a message and go, Lisa, that was the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. I'd love to hear from you. Or, okay, cool, thanks, Lisa. But actually, I also know leveling up for me means these specific things. But go and apply that in your life. Go and apply that. Everything is a matter of learning. Everything is about practice. And you can practice bad stuff and you can practice good stuff. I actually never used to drink alcohol that much until I moved to Spain. And here you'll often go out for a glass of wine in the evening or whatever. And now I find myself in the habit. And I'm like, that is so interesting because I never used to do that. And now I do. And yeah, everything is about practice. You can practice having a glass of wine at night, or you can practice job interviews, or you can practice going to the gym. It's about what you choose to practice and show up. Put yourself in the position of knowing and say no to what does not serve that particular journey. I am very grateful that you have listened to the show with me, and I will see you next month for another episode of Fellow Dulce. I hope you have been as inspired as I have on today's episode of Velo Dulce. Please share with a friend, rate on iTunes, and most importantly, get on your bicycle, grab a friend, drink some coffee, and here is to living Velo